help for women. But the unfortunate thing is that the women may not know that there is help for them out there. They know it's there for the men, but for the women, they might think, no, it's like they know it's a taboo. Why would there be something to help me? But it's there. Even from the churches, I think even churches would be willing to help women, but they do not maybe come out and talk about it. So yeah, I think it's there. We just also maybe need to be intentional and reach out even to the ladies.
Hello, we're so glad to be back with you this week. If this is your first time to watch, this is Anchored 619, where we share stories of people that have been down the darkest places and have risen out of them, and we share issues pertaining to those things that they have gone through. So we're glad that you're here with us again, and we hope that you have subscribed. If you'd like not to miss any episode, please subscribe, please share. And today, my gosh, so we're so happy to have you. My name is Cordelia, and you are?
I'm Stella Mwesije.
Stella Mwesije. We're so glad that you joined us today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so since we've been having so many men, so many guys, I would like to know, do women go through life controlling problems as well? Do they also go through addiction? Or is it just a thing that's in the sphere of men?
Thank you for having me. Yes, I totally believe that ladies too have struggles which kind of lead them to addiction or life-controlling habits, but it's just that they are silent. They do not come out and talk about it because I think somehow morally it seems terrible that a woman can be in addiction in comparison to a man. So there's that silent judgment that I think is passed towards women that seems more harsh. That how can you be a drunkard? How can you be addicted to drugs? How can you be addicted to any other kind of, life-controlling habit? But for men, it's like the norm. So when you see a drunkard man or some man, it's common that you see the man. But it's rare that you see the woman. But it's not because they are not there. It's because it seems like it's a taboo. So they dare not speak. They dare not come out. But they are there.
Wow. So how do you think they can be helped? Do you think there's enough help out there for women, or is it something else?
I think there is help for women. But the unfortunate thing is that the women may not know that there is help for them out there. They know it's there for the men, but for the women, they might think, no, it's like they know it's a taboo. Why would there be something to help me? But it's there. Even from the churches, I think even churches would be willing to help women, but they do not maybe come out and talk about it. So yeah, I think it's there. We just also maybe need to be intentional and reach out even to the ladies. When you have groups with men and women, you say even the ladies, you educate them and tell them, we understand you can have these struggles and we are ready to help. Yes, it's not just tailor-made for men. They are not the only ones who suffer these kind of struggles, but women too struggle and we are willing to help them. Yeah.
Wow. So just to now go back to our discussion, we had looked at our last nugget and we had looked at transitioning and how it affects individuals when it comes to addiction and getting self-destructive habits, And then also we have also recently listened to Arubo's testimony, and we see certain aspects of the issue of esteem, esteem and self, the way you see yourself. Okay. So how does that affect a person to get into self-destructive habits?
Okay, first of all, esteem is more of like a self-evaluation. You give yourself worth. And that worth you give yourself is dependent on a number of conditions. It could be dependent on the way you've been raised. Has it been an encouraging environment, a loving environment? Or has it been one that has put you down, cast you down, destroyed you, torn you apart? Then it could be persistence of certain painful situations. Maybe for a man, you've not had a job for a number of months, years, and initially you were like, yeah, I will get a job, I know I can do it. But as time goes on and you're not getting the job, then you think maybe I am actually not qualified to do the job I'm looking for. So you start settling for something less. So self-esteem definitely would have a great impact on how a person will relate, how they will cope with situations. So if you find a person whose self-esteem is good and you bring about certain situations, they will laugh through them. But when you give that same situation to someone else who has a low self-esteem, it will destroy them. It's like it confirms what they already think they are, but yet they want to fit in. They want to fit in with this community. And the lie is everyone with low self-esteem thinks everyone else is better than they are. So then they want to be like those other people. So if you already have a low self-esteem and someone comes and seems to be more confident, more conversant with certain things that you would want to be conversant with, you'll find that you want to be like them. So now that's where the problem comes up. You're like, okay, so now how do you do it? Oh, I smoke, I do drugs, I drink. So this person is deceived to think that I too need to do this. So definitely self-esteem is a very good foundation that can keep someone grounded and enable them to attain the greatest heights possible. But then again, if it is not at a good level, if it's low self-esteem, then it can bring you to very destructive levels that you'd never even imagine yourself reaching. Yes.
Wow. So there are things we've over and over the different people that have shared their stories. We've seen that a lot of these things start from those lower years. You know, there's something that goes a bit off as a child that keeps growing with you and pushing you further and further into this place you're seeking, that you're seeking for from another place, you know. So what are some of the things maybe in parenting for parents out there that maybe we subconsciously do, or how we interact with the children that causes this kind of reaction in them that makes them think, maybe I'm not worth it, maybe I'm you know. And also the issue like we see for Arungo, he had issues at school, you know, the bullying, there's all this way in which people are making you think of yourself. How do you help a child walk through those things?
You know, just I think over the weekend, we're having a parenting class at church, and our pastor reminded us of a verse in the Bible that says, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. Because when they are provoked to anger, then it affects them emotionally. It actually brings them to a place of disobedience. It brings them to a place of valuing themselves less because they think, my father is not pleased, there must be something wrong with me. So he was telling us, even in our disciplining of children, we need to be intentional and catch ourselves that we do not provoke. You're not actually provoking your child to anger. You're having talks, you relate, you explain, they understand where you're coming from, and they don't take it like it's out to harm me, but it's out to get the best out of me. So now if a child already has been provoked to anger, remember anger is an emotion. Self-esteem is an emotion. It's how you feel about yourself. So if you constantly have a person putting you down, destroying you with the words they say, you can never amount to anything, you're foolish, you're you're stupid, that's why you fail, you're like this, relating you to failed individuals, it definitely takes a toll on someone. Now, of course, the children are not perfect, and that's why we discipline them. But the disciplining is not intended to destroy them, but it's intended to uplift them. So in such a situation, it's very important as parents, as guardians, when a child is being raised, because, to be a parent, you need patience. You really need a lot of patience too, and you need to go before the Lord. Now, for me as a Christian, that is where my anchor is. I go to the Lord, and because the children are different. One child is quiet, one is loud, one is patient, one is, you want to pull your hair out. But how do you deal with them? You need to pray. Pray, how do I deal with this child? This child is really drawing me to places of anger. How do I help this child understand how to be better? And in doing that, God helps. He really shows you. He trains you on how you can do this with this child, but it will not work with the other child. With the other child, do something else. And then you protect your child. Now the parents have the biggest and greatest opportunity, because a child at that stage is innocent. They're like a blank canvas. So you have an opportunity to paint a very beautiful picture, or paint a horror as well. So it's up to the parent. I know. So in such a situation, if you really are intentional and I need to build good character, I need to build the confidence of this child, even when they fail, how do I tell them you can do better? Do I shout at them and say, you're wasting my money? You are like, is it who and who? But the way you deal with it builds the child up. Even in times of failure, you can still build them up to be better. So that would be a very good ground for a child to, to work on their self-esteem. By the time they reach the age of 13 these days, maybe children are already being exposed to drugs, to alcohol, cigarettes. By the time they get to pornography. By the time they get to 13, they already know, I'm better than this. This is not what I should relate with at this stage. Never in my life should I desire this. Of course, they have that wanting to adventure. But even as they try to adventure, they'll still come back to the truth that no, this is not for me. And in any case, because you've had a good relationship, they can come back to you as a parent. And you say, and they tell you, I'm having this. My friends are telling me I should do this for this. What do you think? But now if you're the one who was always shouting, backing your failure, your loss, they'll definitely not come to you. So they will seek a peer who might not be the right peer to relate with. And then the peer leads them off completely. Yes, so definitely as parents, as guardians in the home, it is the primary place for us to build esteem, in our children.
Yeah, because what does having no esteem look like? What does it look like? What comes out? What are its fruits?
Having no esteem means that you're open to whoever you admire to tell you what is the esteem level. So it's like you don't have an understanding of what is the thing right now. Someone else is telling it to you. So if I move around and just for instance, it's for a lady, maybe dressing provocatively. So for me, I have low self-esteem. But then I look at someone, this girl is so beautiful. And then I tell her, hey, you're so beautiful. I want to be your friend. Remember, it's from a place of like, I feel you're better than me. So when I relate with you, I say, how do you do this? She says, no, you just wake up, you do this, you put on this, you buy these kinds of clothes, and they're affordable. Now, she already thinks that person is better than her, and she'll want to do exactly what that person does. So it is from a place of weakness. You've devalued yourself, and anyone who you think is at a higher level, you've given them the power to tell you what you should do to bring yourself to that level of evaluation. So low self-esteem are people who would usually maybe be withdrawn. They seek approval, and they will keep looking out to be attached. Not necessarily with people they should be with, but just because they think that is the person they should be with. Yes.
You know, there is also the issue of sometimes we think that the life-controlling problems and addictions are just this alcohol,
drugs,
the sex, the porn. But then there's also that place of having low self-esteem that causes you to bring out certain attitudes and behaviors.
Yes.
Like arrogance.
Yes.
To make yourself feel better, you try to put yourself out, in a very negative way. So it's really sad. And I think what you're saying, we can see even from the story from the past episodes, that because you're seeking to be someone, then when they offer you the drugs, you're like, oh, this makes me feel good. This makes me feel confident.
Yes.
Let me try it. And I like the way I feel when I do this. And then you go out and do that. So when we look at this esteem, and we see a lot of times in the world, I think we tie it to things. Like, if I've built a house, if I've gone to school, if I dress a certain way, then I can feel good about myself. Is that the right picture of it, or where does our true worth come from?
It is not that. It's definitely a deception that we think material things value us. That is why you'll see certain situations happen. Like, as you were speaking, I thought of a time when a child in school denied a mother and said this was not my mother because she came dressed in her simplicity. She's not a very wealthy woman. So she was embarrassed that this lady is going to come and people will see what my mother looks like. And yet she had painted this picture of, I come from a very rich home, we are well-to-do. And of course, to maintain that thinking, she has to have certain side, like you were saying, the behaviors. So you find yourself getting boyfriends at a young age, or sugar daddies at a young age. Why? So that they give you money to keep up this appearance, when it's not really what you are. So our value comes from within, and we need to have that understanding that our value is given to us by the person who has created us. Just like when you go to buy any item, a phone or something like that, depending on what the manufacturer has put in, they will come up with a cost. So even us, when God created us and he said, my goodness, this is good, and it is for my level, I relate with man. I will not relate with the cows, with the goats, with the sheep. I will relate with man. He gave us that high value that we need to know that this is who I am. So I need to relate with that understanding that the material things come and go. But my value was already set, and it was set by God. Now the problem is we do not want to take time to get that understanding, because we are not born with that understanding. We need to seek it out, which for us we do through the word of God, because you read it and that's when it tells you you're fearfully and wonderfully made. So now this lady who is looking for a man to come and tell her, you're so beautiful, she has not read that her creator actually said, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Whatever you look like, you're awesome. So our value definitely will come from God. And the more we relate with God, the more we get to know more. We discover more about what we are able to do. So you can imagine if this mind, someone sat down and thought of, we can make an aeroplane. I can manufacture a car. I can make, people are coming up with things every day. And you wonder, what kind of brain is this? So when you look at all that coming just out of a person like this, it's enough to show you that there's greatness in us. And now you, who creates a car, who creates a chair, who builds a house, how can you get your worth from what you have created? It can never happen that now your created item is one which tells you Oh, because you've made a car, then the car tells you you're a very great. No, we can't get it from something we have created. Not at all. Our Creator has given us our value, and that is what we should go by. Yeah.
Oh my God. This is
Hallelujah.
like the point of no return at this point, you know? That is so powerful, you know?
Amen.
How do you make a car, and the one who made it, how do you get the value from it, you know? And so we are made in God's image.
Amen.
So ultimately it is from, and my God, we are made in His image. He's the creator of all things. And so by the fact that we're made in His image, then we have great value. And it has nothing to do with other created things. My God.
Amen.
Or for anyone out there that is going through maybe what a low point, you know, feeling like you're not worth it. Maybe you were told to, your parents always said, "When buzi gwe," you know, there are those words that
Yes.
they mentioned earlier. You know, buzi gwe, you amount to nothing. Ye wabachi, those things, you know, they're not at all what you are. You're made in the image of God. There's a lot of worth in you.
Amen.
Value,
Yes.
your great importance. You are who God says you are.
Amen.
That is your esteem. That is your worth. You know, we are what God says we are. And so, if you're struggling out there with anything, you're troubled, you're heavy laden, you're depressed, would like to let you know, that you are what God says you are.
Amen.
Nothing, and no situation can take that away. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Come again. Okay, till next week. Ciao.
Ciao.